Hey there, farmers. Welcome to your exclusive sneak peek early look at Zynga's first major expansion for FarmVille 2, the Appaloosa River. I'm Jim Squire, the editor-in-chief at Gamezebo.com, and with me today is Daryl Anselmo, the creative director on FarmVille 2. Daryl, good evening.
Hi, how you doing, Jim?
I'm not doing too bad. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Are you excited to show these people something they've been waiting for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, before we really get into the river as it is, maybe we should learn a little bit about the head farmer in charge, so to speak, Daryl. How do you find yourself coming to work on FarmVille 2?
I joined Zynga about 18 months ago. I came onto FarmVille 2 before we went live. I'm the creative director on the project. The big thing that I'm responsible for really is the look and the feel of the game. I work really closely with our designers and the artists really to help shape the vision and select the ideas that go into FarmVille 2.
Okay, very cool. So you've been around then since day one on FarmVille 2.
Like I said, I came in before it went live. I've been on the project ever since that we went live. I've been working in games for about 18 years, and this is the best team I've ever worked with, and really the best community of players that I've ever seen. So.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. Now, since you've been around so long since the game went live, and that, are there some things you'd kind of pick out as what makes FarmVille 2 really FarmVille 2?
Absolutely. I think, one of the most important things about FarmVille is that, or FarmVille 2, I should say, is that it builds on the classic nature of FarmVille 1. There's sort of one of the things that we really go for in FarmVille 2 is where is this peaceful and sort of bucolic setting. Everything in FarmVille 2 is really based off of nature. It's really based off of this feeling of sort of classic country living, and it's really inspired and set in the 1950s. And so a lot of that feeling is built right into the game, and we put all that love and attention right into the art and the design and the movements. Everything in the game is really really just peaceful and calm. We want players to have a relaxing and calm feeling when they come in and play FarmVille 2.
Sure, absolutely, and it's a game that's certainly kind of grown leaps and bounds over its predecessor, the first FarmVille. What would you say really kind of sets it apart? If anyone's just coming to this and they're hearing about the river, the new expansion, thinking it's a great time to jump into FarmVille 2, what sort of things would a new player to FarmVille 2 find different compared to the first game?
Yeah, I think the thing that we get the most comments on really is the 3D graphics, and that's something that we've is sort of a first for a big social game of this size, and so that goes into the way that we animate our animals and really the life that we put into everything. That's really the main thing that I think players are going to see when they play FarmVille 2.
Oh, okay, sure. No, that makes sense. Now, just as I take a look at it here, and I see the size of what we're kind of showing off today with the river, it seems like the first kind of major expansion, and we had seen major expansions previously in the last FarmVille, but as far as FarmVille 2 goes, yeah, we've seen a lot of in-game events, things like that, but on a large scale, the river seems to be the first big one. Now, what made you guys choose to go with the river?
Well, really to kind of set the stage, there's always really been a stream that's been running down the east side of the farm. We've had a road on the left side of the farm, but on the right side, we've always had this little stream there. And, that again, that kind of, there's something special about water. and that peaceful, calm kind of vibe. It, you know, it really reminds me of like being a kid and kind of going to the lake as a kid. And so originally, really, it kind of just started as this simple decoration when we launched the game, and then what happened was is we started getting the game out and players were playing it more. What we found is that it really inspired a lot of curiosity, and players started to raise a lot of questions about, well, what could the river be? So the team really started to begin a lot of the conversations really in the spring of this year. And so what we're going to show today is really sort of a culmination of several months of work. So players of FarmVille 2, you know, if you're familiar with the game, you'll know that it's always a work in progress. We're always making improvements and we're always adding new content to the game. So what we're going to show is really a sneak peek of what players will see over the next few weeks as we roll out the river. But really, this is just a start, and it's really based on what our players have really asked for.
Oh, okay. So then, since it's based on what your players have asked for, would you say that the river kind of came about in response to player demand, or as you said, the river was kind of along the side there since launch day one? Is this something that kind of slowly but surely you've been working towards as an idea since day one?
Yeah, like I said, the stream has always kind of been there, but the conversations with the team really began in the spring, and that's when we started to expand on it and really build it out into the features that I'm about to show today.
Okay, terrific. Well, why don't we take a look at some of those features then and see what's on the horizon?
Sure. So the just sort of diving right in, the story of the river really is now in FarmVille 2. In the world, it's close to the end of the summer season, and the rains have begun to pick up, and so the Appaloosa River is starting to overflow. This is actually a good thing for you as a farmer. It's an opportunity for you to expand your farm out to the river and use the space in new and exciting ways that are actually going to be quite profitable for you as a farmer as well.
So it's better than a real flood.
What's that?
It's better than a real flood for a farmer then.
So the first thing that you'll see here is the dock expansion, and what you can do is just click to unlock that. And we've got an opportunity to expand to the river early. And one of the things that players will notice earlier to this too is that we've actually eased the requirements to expand in the direction of the river. And so tomorrow and throughout the week, what this really is an early opportunity to get a head start on the river. So what you'll see here is that you'll get a white water buffalo, an albino water buffalo. This is one of the first of our water animals in Farm 2. There's also two decorations. So there's the leisurely liner, which is like kind of a cool boat. There's also a cattail bouquet. And one thing to really note is that the albino water buffalo and the leisurely liner, these are exclusive limited edition items, and this is the only way to get them is through the early access. But what you really want is the early river access to get you a head start on clearing that space, so that next week when we roll out our next feature, you'll be able to start getting started on farming on the water, which is the first sort of big feature that we're going to start rolling out next week.
Okay, that's great. And early access begins tomorrow. Is that right?
That's right.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I'm sure everyone who's watching right now will be eager to jump into that then. Great.
So one of the things that you'll notice right off the bat too is when I'm ready to expand to the river, what players are used to originally is that the goats will come and clear out that space. But now what's going to happen is that we've introduced the water buffaloes, and so the water buffaloes come and they clear out that space, and then they take off as well.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I see them running off right there. That's adorable. That's great. Okay. So once what we see here kind of unfolds, will there be new crops? What sort of things are we going to see?
So why don't we just dive right into the next thing?
Sure, absolutely. Let me just take a quick look here. Sorry, my apologies.
Right. Okay, so the first thing that players are going to start to see next week is that we've got water crops, and so you can rake water crops directly into the plots, directly into the river, just like you would with dry plots on land. So one thing that I should probably point out here too, Jim, is while the early access is something that a lot of players might want to get because of the exclusive buffalo and also the boat. The other thing to sort of keep in mind too is that really the early access next week when players log in and they start to play the farm, what they're actually going to get is they're going to get this expansion for free. So we're giving that to players.
Oh, okay, that's terrific.
So going back to the water crops right now, one of the cool things about it is that you can, like I said, you can rake water plots directly into the river just like you would on land.
Okay.
Really special. They grow special crops that you can't grow on land. And so next week, what we're going to do is we're actually going to launch 4 new water crops, and that's just a start. We're going to introduce more as time goes on, and you can put 6 plots down per any one of the acres that you add to the river. And we've got some really cool crops. So we've got wasabi, we've got some Indian lotus. We've got cranberries. I'll lay down a couple of cranberries right now too, so you can sort of see what that looks like. Now, one thing, I'll just stop it right there for a second. One thing that's really cool about this, and I think that players are really going to love, is the fact that when you lay down the water crops, they don't actually take water. So it's a lot different than farming on the land. You'll see that instead of laying down a seed pack and then it turning into seeds and then you needing to water it, they immediately water. And I think that that's something that players are really going to love.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'll definitely help them save an important resource there. That's great. That's great. Now, just out of curiosity, especially when I see the 4 you're introducing today, or the 4 that will be introduced, my apologies, coming next week, do you guys get the chance to taste test a bit of everything, just sort of as research? Do they bring that in? Do you have great catering for this sort of thing?
Yeah, we've always got, Zynga's got a fantastic cafe. And we're always trying all the new food. We actually go on excursions every once in a while to try and research and try all the different types of foods that actually go into FarmVille 2 and inspire a lot of the recipes that players see.
Oh, lucky! That sounds delicious. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just point out one thing. What you'll notice too is that I'll just plant down some wasabi here and some lotus flowers too. There's actually 12 water plots here, and so for every acre of land that that a player will unlock, what they'll do is they'll see 6 plots, and so I've got 12, which is the maximum for the 2. Something else that's like really cool about this is that you can fertilize them just like you would any other land crop. And what's interesting about that too is I think players that are interested in the county fair and are playing that part of the game, and then in addition to that too, the fact that as you're playing it and as you use fertilizer, I'll just Instagrow these so that you can see it. Something that's cool about that is that you get extra yield for every time that you use fertilizer, and the same thing applies to water farming as well. So,
oh, okay.
Cranberries out. One of the things that you'll notice is that they come out of the ground in sort of or come out of the water, I should say, in a different way. And they're going into a little building over here on the side, and that's I'll show you what that is in a second. That's our crop dryer. So. What happens is I pull out the wet crops, they go into the crop dryer, I click on the crop dryer to fire it up. There's a cute little animation there. People that are familiar with the feed making machine, the crop dryer is very similar, so it's kind of a one-click deal. The wet crops are locked up, I then unlock them through the crop dryer, and now I can get access. I can take those wet crops and I can turn them into feed, I can sell them in the market, or I can craft them into profitable recipes. And that's something that are design goals for the water farming. Felt really special, felt really profitable, and that players were really going to get more out of this. So we see that the water farming and wet crops are going to be a really, really important part of the game. So here's just a simple tutorial. You plant and harvest your water crops. Wet crops will automatically go to the crop dryer, and then you click once on each of them, and what'll happen is you'll get access to them, and then you can use them in all the ways that you could with any dry crops as well.
Great. Now, yeah, I was going to say then with the crafting itself, then when you're doing recipes and whatnot, will they be a mix of the formerly wet now dry crops and the older crops, or will they basically be like all wet ingredients and all dry ingredients in separate recipes?
We've got all sorts of mixes of recipes, and let me take you through a few of them right now too. So. We've got kind of a mix of a bunch of them. Here's a cranberry muffin, for example. So this is using eggs and flour as well. It's a simple batter staple recipe that I think a lot of players are familiar with muffins. So it's just cranberries plus batter. It creates a cranberry muffin. That's one of the more simple, basic recipes that we've got in the game.